So let's get started. We are officially in 2026. And I know in our staff meeting this morning, we've been talking about resolutions and goals, intentions, and there's a lot of talk about it and a lot of talk about how we don't always follow through, right? There's the drop off that happens sometimes with New Year's resolutions. So, one of the things I typically lean towards as we're coming into new beginnings, right? And remembering to type in 2026 and not 2025. There's this threshold of beginning for us, and the weather reminds us of that too. That we tend to like go towards, I know I do, I go towards like, okay, where do I want to go this year? What are some bucket list things? What are some health things I can do? But we don't always think about more like what's going on internally for us, right? Like, for instance, what do you want to bring into 2026? What do you want to leave behind in 2025, right? There might be some attitudes that you want to bring with you or that you want to leave behind, right? Attitudes can really affect our emotional, physical, mental well-being. There could be some like physical pieces too. And what I mean by that is like tension, dread, fatigue, right? Is maybe an offering, an invitation to, is there a way to start leaving those behind in 2025? Or for instance, we meet each month, right? And so it doesn't even have to be yearly that we're intentional about it. These R&Rs could be a reminder, oh, I don't need to bring the tension or the stress from December into January or January into February, right? And there's such an interesting relationship when we think of fatigue, stress, dread, and their relationship to each other as well as to tension. And a lot of times we come to R&R and we're like, oh, I've got so much tension. But to really think about what created that tension. And so, and what can we bring in more, right? Because it's not so much just about, oh, I need to leave the tension behind. Well, what do we need to do in order to leave it behind? What's going to replace it? What are going to be the practices? So, the great thing about these R&Rs is that it stands for rest and relaxation, right? And rest and relaxation are a wonderful antidote to tension, to fatigue, to um, the stresses that really accumulate through our day, right? And so we could say, all right, monthly, let's be intentional about a reset, right? But you could honestly think of it day to day too. What are some things you do in the evening, maybe to distress? What are some things in the morning to acknowledge, right, that it's a new day, a new beginning? What might you do before you even get out of bed that sheds the residue of the day before if you didn't do it the night before? Like, for instance, in the morning, right when well, I hit snooze once, and then after the second alarm goes off, I roll onto my belly and I come into a posture that in yoga we call crocodile, where we spread our legs a little wide, bring our hands under our head. So I push the pillow up against the wall, and you're putting pressure on the diaphragm to get in deeper breath. And it's really grounding. And I'll go through my morning prayers, my gratitude. Okay, so reminding myself, I'm so blessed to be alive, and these are my hopes, right? This is having that sense of gratitude is a way to start the day. And then I come downstairs, and one of the first things I do is empty the dishwasher to move the body. And I'll come in after I've got something settled in the kitchen, breakfast cooking, I'll come into my meditation room, and the first thing I do there is I lay down and do some systematic relaxation, right? And I've cultivated this practice over 30 years. It's not like, by realizing just how restorative it is. And so to think about what's going right now in nature, right? This restorative season. This is the invitation to rest. And a lot of us here in Wisconsin, we are seeing this image quite a bit, right? The fog. And back in the day, so this was an intention last year. I was really focusing on some of the attitudes I was having, and actually, my meditation teacher pointed this out to me. Attitudes that don't serve my mental, emotional, physical well-being. And one of it was dread. Dreading the shorter days, dreading the cold winter, dreading cloudy days. Usually I really detest them, even though there's some people, I have clients who love the cloudy days. And it's been an interesting challenge to identify when I'm dreading something and to shift the meaning on it, right? And we get to choose the meaning, right? So even to get a little bit poetic about it. So lately with the cloudy days, that's been year round, when I start to dread it and being like, oh, the clouds just need to rest today. Or thinking of them as this blanket. Oh, the clouds are cozying in today to comfort us. I get to get out of bed and be under the beautiful blanket of the clouds today, right? Because when we dread, think of the last thing you dreaded and notice the physical sensations in the body that dread creates, right? So, how do we, come to a place where we can appreciate this gentle quiet, like this little poem is saying, appreciating the gentle quiet that the snow brings, even the changing temperature brings as it settles. It's like nature's reminding us to slow down and rest to find comfort. So I invite you, as we cross this threshold into 2026, is to think about maybe some of the attitudes that you're bringing with you, and maybe even your attitudes towards rest, towards relaxation, which is restorative. And, so that it brings rest not just to the body, but to the mind. And you might notice that as you shift some of these attitudes, the stress comes down a bit and then the fatigue follows. You might not be as fatigued. Dread is very fatiguing, for example, but awfulizing is too. Um, holding grudges, right? So do some reflection on what are some attitudes that are really draining your energy and depleting you, right? And maybe let these next 2 months, January and February, just be time of reflection. You don't even have to do anything with it yet. All right. So let's settle in um, and ground ourselves, into this image, these trees in the pasture. And I centered the photo, the image specifically so that the emphasis is more on the fog and the cloudiness. And is there a way that you might give yourself permission to feel comforted by this? This idea that there's an ebb and flow in nature. There's even an ebb and flow in winter. There's an ebb and flow in our activity between growth, right? We grow and then we need to rest and digest what we've experienced. It's always changing. And notice as you settle into your chair and settle into this moment, notice the breathing, specifically the space around the abdomen. the softness of the belly as it moves in and out with the breath. And make sure that you're using diaphragmatic breath. And what I mean by that is that when you inhale, your belly poofs out and expands, and on the exhale, it comes back in. And it doesn't have to be any strong movements or efforts. It's just relaxing, and you can close your eyes, let the eyes soften, the eyelids soften. Maybe swallow and release the throat. Let the shoulders release. And notice the softening from the crown of the head all the way down the sides of the head, the back of the head. Your facial features soften and release. And let that softness spread down through the neck, down through the shoulders and the arms, the fingers, down through the torso, into the hips, down through the legs, through the knees, the shins, the ankles, and the feet. Notice the rootedness of the bottoms of your feet, the heels, the outer edges, the balls of the feet. Soften the toes, release them. Let the tension go there. Maybe wiggle the fingers too and let the fingers release their tension. And let the body rest here. Take a moment. Let it be heavy. Let it be soft. Let it be fluid. And let the mind, be soft, your thoughts be soft, and maybe even let them be a little bit foggy right now. There's so much effort in trying to track our thoughts and have that crystal clear clarity. Well, it's okay maybe sometimes when it's just a little blurry. Okay. Let the breath deepen. Let the inhale be a little bit deeper and longer. The exhale, let it be expansive as you breathe it out, releasing it all, whatever fatigue has been residing within you, whatever tension. Take a nice deep inhale again through the nostrils. And with your exhale, open the mouth and sigh out. Let's do that another. Okay. I found this on the web. Oh, AI, Siri just turned on when I did that. So let's inhale again through the nose and exhale out through the mouth, sighing out. Good. Now come back to your natural breathing. You can keep the eyes closed. Just notice the sensations in the body. Really bookmark what this feels like so you can keep coming back to it and keep recreating this moment and cultivating it, right? Not just externally, like through the body, but bring awareness into your heart space right now. Breathe into the heart space. And what is it feeling? There might be a sense of peacefulness or contentedness. That's always available to you. The more and more you come back to this, it becomes easier to access because it is always with you 24/7. You don't have to pay a subscription fee. All you need to do is show up. Take a couple of moments each day, maybe even throughout the day. Take these cleansing breaths. Okay. So let's start to move into some chair stretches or chair yoga. So we can warm our hands, bring them together, and then bring your palms over the eyes. And you might flutter your eyes open just to get used to the light. And then bring the hands down. I'm going to scoot back as well as I'm going to stop sharing my screen. There we go. Okay. And I'm scooting to the top of my chair just because it gives you more room to move around. So hands come on your thighs, maybe just above the knees. We're going to move into some cat-cow. And cat-cow is moving the body with the breath. So on your inhale, you bring the heart forward, the chin forward, and the spine curves. So the tailbone points back, and you're spreading through the collarbones. Hug the elbows in so you get a nice squeeze between the shoulder blades here. Release that tension. Maybe move the shoulders up just a tad to get up higher in the neck. Good. Bring the shoulders back down. And now we're on the exhale, move into what we call cat. You might slide the hands over the knees, and now you're curving the back towards the wall behind you. You tuck the chin so the crown of the head is reaching forward and the navel center hollows out. And then with your next inhale, come back into cow, open it up. And with your exhale, bring it back into cat. Let's do that one more time, moving with the cue of your breath. Inhale brings you into cow, and exhale brings you into cat. Wonderful. Now come back to sit. Root through the sits bones, engage that navel center, and find length through the spine all the way up through the back of the head and the neck, as if you're bringing the chin back so that you can lean your head up against a headrest, but lengthen up through the crown of the head to the ceiling, and then drop your ear over to the right shoulder. So right ear to the right shoulder. And then exhale, come forward with the chin towards the chest and rotate over to the left. And we're just going to do this back and forth 1 or 2 times. Move with your inhale. So the top of the inhale brings you to the shoulder, and then the tip of the exhale brings you center. The next inhale brings you over and back to center. Now let's go one more time to the right. Hold here, pause, and then tilt the head so the chin can come towards the shoulder. And move the head up in really minute yeses. Yes, more to this, right? And then exhale, drag the chin down towards the chest, and then move it in some nose. Okay. Notice that tension relieving. And then slide the ear back over to the left. Bring the chin towards the shoulder here. Yes. And then exhale and slide the chin back to center. Do a no. Opening up that cervical spine. Good. And then come back to center. Whew. Notice the sensations there. Okay, so let's sweep the left arm up towards the sky. Bend the elbow. Bring that hand to the base of your neck. And we're going to side bend. So you might find it helpful to take that right hand to the outside of the left thigh just to give you some stability. Now, engage the navel center. Root the sit bones down. You're going to lengthen through the spine and bring that elbow up. Okay, so you're coming into that side bend. Now use that left hand once you feel like you have some stability and bring it to the lower ribs. And we're just going to use some caressing motion if that feels good to you. If it doesn't, you don't have to do it. You can keep your hand on the outside of that thigh. But it feels really good to do this caressing motion and make it longer so it starts to come down towards the hip and even up towards the elbow. Yeah. Okay. And then let the hand rest again at that rib cage. Breathe in and notice the expansiveness here. And then place your right hand back to that outer thigh and sweep the right arm up and over. So that bicep is by the ear, the chin stays tucked, and now really glue that left hip down and feel the opening here. Good. Now let's lower that left arm down slowly. Both hands are on the lap. Close your eyes and just drink in this awareness of the sensations here. Beautiful. All right, let's lift the right arm up, reach it up, but try to pull the arm bone into the socket, the shoulder. Okay. Now bend the elbow, bring it to the base of your neck. Slide that left hand to the outside of the right leg and try to track as you lengthen the spine, engage that navel center, hug it in, and try to track that elbow up. So that's creating length. We're going to bring that right hand, if you want, to the lower ribs and just caress the rib cage here. And then start to make that motion longer, moving from the hip up towards the elbow, continuing to lengthen up through that right elbow. And then bring the hand here to the rib cage. On your next breath, breathe it in and notice the expansiveness here. And then you can bring that hand back to the thigh as you lengthen the right arm up and over. It's not going to be super extreme. Keep that chin tucked so the back of the neck is long. Good. And then release it down. Maybe roll the shoulders back a few times. Notice what it feels like. You might feel kind of seltzery, bubbly. That's the blood circulating. That means you release some good tension. And notice maybe what the fatigue feels like at this point. How would you rate it, compared to the beginning to now? And we'll see how you feel in a few minutes at the end. Let's do some some seated eagle twists. So we're going to cross, or let's actually come into pigeon pose. Okay, so pigeon, what we're going to do is we're going to cross the right ankle over the left leg. So the left foot is planted, and you've got this cross across the legs, and we're going to bring our arms out wide, and we're going to hug opposite elbows. Okay, and then we're going to curl here and up. And exhale out, curl it. Good. And inhale. And then we're going to release the hands and sweep them back if you want. Okay. So now this is like a flying pigeon. You could, if you want, clasp the hands and lift them and maybe even fold over the lap if that's available to you. So keeping that chin tucked, the crown of the head reaches forward and you engage that navel center. Hug it away from the thighs. Okay. And then we're going to come back up, slide that knee across the leg, and we're going to come back into right arm under, holding opposite shoulder. And we're going to curl it in again and then twist to the right ever so slightly. Good. And then come back up. Now let's switch sides. So cross that left ankle over the right thigh towards the knee, not on the knee. And we're going to cross the left arm under, or do the opposite arm that you had. It's no foul if you're opposite to me. Hands resting on opposite shoulder. And exhale, curl it in. Inhale. So notice how it's similar to cow and cat. And curl it in again with your exhale. Good. Come back out, sweep those arms out, and maybe coming into flying pigeon, sweep those arms back, lift them so you feel an activation through the triceps and biceps. Hug that navel center away from the thighs. You might clasp the hands behind you or hold the back of the chair as you fold, maybe reaching the crown of the head forward as you tuck the chin. Good. And then come back up. Plant the left foot, meeting the right. Let's just hug that right knee in and release the leg down. Let the right foot support you as you bring that left knee in. Really hug it in. Good. And release it back down. Good. All right. So hopefully the body is feeling a little bit better, but not just the body, the mind, the breath. Feel softer. So I'll go ahead and bring this back up so that we can close. And I found this I found this poem that I wanted to read to you all. It says, let yourself rest. So just come into your rested, like your mini shavasana. So let yourself completely slump here. Just have the worst posture possible. And you can let the legs be wide if you want. The arms can just release out, and you feel free to bring the head back if your chair comes up high enough. Close your eyes, and I'll read this to you. It's written by Jeff Foster. Let yourself rest. If you're exhausted, rest. If you don't feel like starting a new project, don't. If you don't feel the urge to make something new, just rest in the beauty of the old, the familiar, the known. If you don't feel like talking, stay silent. If you're fed up with the news, turn it off. If you want to postpone something until tomorrow, do it. If you want to do nothing, let yourself do nothing today. Feel the fullness of the emptiness, the vastness of the silence, the sheer life in your unproductive moments. Time does not always need to be filled. You are enough simply in your being. And so I hope that you start to notice more when you need to rest. Notice when you're fatigued. Notice when you're stressed. And try to get in that rest and restoration, sink into it before it leads to a ton of tension. Certainly until it leads to burnout, right? Be aware of the attitudes too that exhaust you and the beliefs, right, that don't serve you. So here's our contact information. If you're collecting wellness points through your organization, the keyword is rest. You can contact us if you want to learn more about EAP or set up some counseling sessions that are free and confidential to you. Our phone number is there as well as our email. And again, you can find us on YouTube at Ascension, Wisconsin EAP. We'll hope you look it up. And we hope you'll join us again February 4th from 12 to 12:30. So thank you for joining. Feel free to encourage all of your colleagues to join us. It's super fun. So, all right. Take good care, everybody. Bye.